This afternoon, I'm going to show how I make guacamole. Now, I'm not professing to be the greatest guacamole chef in the world, but I do have a good technique. I learned from some wonderful Guatemalan women who I worked with at the Lincoln Park Zoo in Chicago about 25, almost 30 years ago. Of course, my avocado emptying the stuff out of the peeling method I got from watching a guy in a restaurant. Because I don't know what I was doing before, but it wasn't working. But you just cut it in half like this and you just spoon it out. Like that. And then some people save the pit to keep your avocado, supposedly it keeps your avocado fresh while it's being stored. We don't have a guacamole long enough to worry about that, so I just get rid of those. We generally just eat it. So there's one avocado. These avocados right here are perfect, by the way. Cut it in half long ways, divide it, there you can see, and then you got a little spoon. There's a Mexican restaurant in Jonesboro, Tennessee, off the exit of Interstate 26, and that's where I witnessed this method of getting your avocado meat out of the shell easiest. So there's nothing wrong with stealing a good idea. So we got two here. I'm going to go ahead and make all four because these are pretty ripe. This one's actually might be too ripe. I might have to cull some of this one out. It's all right. It's getting there. It's almost when it gets a little bit soft, you know, it's almost to the end of its life expectancy. But one more day and this would have been no good. When it's all mushed together in a avocado guacamole mix, it'll all be the same. Alrighty, so there's three and one more. Four is a good number. 2 is a good meal for 2 people. We're gonna nibble on it all weekend, so I'm making 4. And get the little pit out. I accumulate a lot of avocado pits over the course of a year. It's too bad they don't grow here in East Tennessee. All right, now I have, as you can see, 4 peeled avocados. I wish my microwave light stopped working on it for some reason. Make better light. But I've got 4 peeled avocados. Ideally, I'd like to have a potato masher, but I don't know where it is, so I'm just going to use this instead. This goes to a mixing machine, and it's just as good. So I'm going to go ahead and season these bad boys. I don't measure anything. I just wing it. And this is the secret ingredient right here: Walmart garlic powder. It may look like it's in reverse because I'm filming in reverse so I can look at the screen while I'm filming. But this is $1. These containers of garlic powder are $1.25 at Walmart. They used to be $1 forever, now they're $1.25. But this is the stuff. This is the secret ingredient right here. So I just dash that in, put in a little salt, and I always mix it with the masher and season the avocados first, and I'll show you why here in a second. So I'm going to go ahead. These are real soft, so I can just smoosh them up. And you can kind of see what I'm doing. If I had a potato masher, it'd be better, but this is just as good. Just a little more time consuming. Get these smushed up and then stir it a little bit. So we're not only pulverizing the avocado into guacamole, we're also mixing in the seasoning. I like mine a little lumpy. So it's you can make it creamy or you can make it lumpy. It's up to you. But that's pretty good. You can smell that garlic too. One nice thing about this thing is when you use a potato masher, there's more residual guacamole stuff left over to lick off. But I don't need that. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Now here's the real secret to my guacamole. I know some people use cilantro and some people use lime, which I have been known to do in the past, but I don't have those right now. I just have an old tomato that is on its last day probably. You can see it's got a spot. I'll probably have to cut that off. Let me go wash it real quick. Now, this one big giant tomato is probably too much. Ordinarily, I would probably use a tomato like that size for avocado guacamole, but since this tomato is starting to go bad, I'm going to go ahead and use it. So, cut the pit out. The stem hole, stem thing. I don't have the correct terminology, sorry. And I'm going to cut the bad spot off here. So you can see that's better. And then I just cut the top skin off just for better, more aesthetically pleasing texture. Cut the skin off the ends. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and chop this guy up. Hope you can see that. I'm really hesitant to maneuver this camera because it's going to fall over. All right. And in fact, I might have to just use half of this tomato because it still might be too much. Lynn says you can never have too much tomato. And these are good tomatoes too, by the way. These are Grainger County tomatoes. And if you're not familiar with Grainger County tomatoes, it's the best tomato in the world. They have a festival in Grainger County, Tennessee. I don't know what it is, the soil over there or what, the acidic properties of the soil and the nutrients or what, I don't know what it is, but their tomatoes are better than anywhere else. And so we get Grainger County tomatoes. They're a little more expensive, but when you taste them, you'll know the difference. And we actually, we camp on a campground on Cherokee Lake in Grainger County, which is across the road from all kinds of tomato farms. So we always have a good supply of Grainger County tomatoes. All right, so I have cut these up a little, and there's a lot of juice. You can see, which I like the juice because it thins out the guacamole. So I dumped those in there. Now you notice the reason I mushed it up with the potato masher first is because I don't want to mush up my tomatoes. I want to keep my tomatoes intact. So I just stir them in with the Grainger County tomato juices. And probably for the average person, this may be a little more tomato avocado per capita than they're used to, but this is the way we like it. And as I said, if you had Grainger County Grainger County tomatoes, you would see why. But okay, so that you can see what that looks like now. I'll try to get out of the light. Pretty good, huh? Pretty good, pretty good. And that's it. That's done, basically. I've got this much tomato left. And I guess I'm going to put it in there, you know. I'm not going to throw it away, and I'm probably not going to have a reason to eat it before it goes bad, so I might as well just put it in there. So that's really going to put my tomato to avocado ratio over the top. Notice my tomato carving knife, which we got from Yoder's Amish Grocery in Bulls Gap, Tennessee. Best knife in the world for peeling tomatoes and other things. All right. By the way, this is my guacamole container lid too. Doubling up, making as few dirty dishes as necessary. And you can see I got big chunks of tomato in there. We like our tomato here. Have I mentioned that we like tomatoes? We like Grainger County tomatoes. So, all right. Now this is the taste test. I don't necessarily profess to have it right the first time. It's always important to take a little test. Oh man, that was right the first time. But I'm gonna just make it a little bit better. A little more garlic. A little more pepper. And a little more salt, but not too much. Salt, the silent deadly killer. All right, let's stir that up. And we like to chill our guacamole for about an hour before we eat it. And it just kind of, it makes it settle, and it allows all the juices to infiltrate each other. It just makes it better. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a lid on this and stick it on the fridge, and then I'll come back in a minute and we'll show you what it's like to eat. All right, so we're getting ready to serve it now. It's been chilling for about an hour, and we're going carb-free in the new year. So what we've got here are 0 net carbs wrap thingies, which I have toasted in olive oil. This is a tomato one, and that was our last 2 plain ones. So what we're gonna do for our carb-free guacamole luncheon is spoon a little bit on our makeshift Chinese food lid that we turn into a dish. And of course we have no spoons or forks, so I gotta go in the dishwasher and get some spoons and forks. But pretty good, huh? That's tomato herb. Ow! Ow, ow, ow. So instead of nachos with our guacamole, we have carb-free wrap that is toasted, kind of like a Tostito. So we're gonna go enjoy our meal now, and I hope that you learned something from my guacamole tutorial.